Hello, husbands, fathers, sons, uncles, nephews, and brothers. I'm Dwayne Shig, and hello to the dreamers, doers, believers, and achievers. I'm Dwayne Shig, and this is the Encouragement Show. This is the place to talk about your passions, products, and possibilities. Tonight, our special show. Tonight, we're talking encouragement for men. If there was a theme for tonight's show, it would be What's Happening, Brothers. And so we've got some powerful men on here today to help us have conversation about different things that are going on. And I want to introduce these gentlemen. I want to introduce from Detroit, Michigan. He's a tech researcher for a major automobile company. He's a husband, a father of three, and he happens to be my cousin, Terrence Jackson. How you doing, man? Can't hear you.
There we go. Sorry about that. I'm good. How you guys doing?
Oh, good to have you with us, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Thank
Also,
you.
we have Mr. David Jones. He's worked in the insurance industry for over 30 years. He must have started when he was 4 because he don't look like this. I'm just reading this, and I've known him for at least 15 or 20 of those years. So, Mr. David Jones, he's worked in the insurance industry for 30 years. He's single, and he lives in the Inland Empire in Southern California. How are you, sir?
Doing well, sir. Good to be here.
Glad to have you with us, and I'm thankful that you've taken out the time to be with us. Also, another young man, athletic young man. He lives in Corona, California, Mr. Harold Tillis, and he's an employee for the Bellflower School District. Been married 24 years, has 4 children, and as I said, he is in Corona, California. Harold Tillis, how are you, sir?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. And Mr. Andrew Toussaint of Lakewood, California. He is the West Coast supervisor for the New York Mets scouting department. He's also a former player for the Los Angeles Angels and also played in the Japanese Baseball League. Mr. Andrew Toussaint, married 14 years, has 3 children. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. We lost Brother Harold, but he'll be coming back in. And again, gentlemen, I'm thankful that you have taken out the time to be with us tonight. We want to talk tonight, and the theme is What's Happening, Brothers. We want to talk about a few things. We'll be talking about, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, you know, the racism and the different things that are going on with police shootings and police abuse and different things of that nature. We'll be talking about that. Talking about the COVID, how you've been affected by the lockdown and financially. But I wanted to spend some time on talking about our health and our finances. We'll be dealing with that. And we'll talk about some man lessons. Every guy knows what that means. And so I want to talk about those things. I want to jump into the health issue. Recently, Chadwick Boseman passed, and that really messed with me for a while. One of the things it did, it kind of helped push me or shine light on health issues. And it is said that as men, we generally, oftentimes, we don't take care of ourselves. We don't go to the doctors and exercise and all those sort of things. And those of you that know me know that my show is a show of solutions. So, gentlemen, what are you doing to take care of your health? Are you eating right? Have you made some shifts? I've recently made a shift in my health workout. I've got a little excess baggage right around here, and I'm really working on losing it. And I know some of y'all, most of y'all probably have no idea because you don't have that issue, but I do. And so I've been doing some things to check that out. I want to ask Drew, as an athlete, former athlete, do you have a regiment of things that you do presently to keep yourself healthy?
I got to kind of feel backslid a little bit on my working out, but usually I try to get up and go for a run in the morning. I really notice that really gets my day going. If I'm able to get out the bed really early, go for a run, I kind of feel more energized throughout the day. and also just try to eat right. Try to stay away from a lot of bread, and try to portion my meals. Try to not to do too much overeating. So that's really my biggest thing. It's kind of tough to go work out when there's no gyms. I'm really not motivated, to kind of like just work out in the house. So I need a gym, So
And Harold, I know you're rather athletic because we used to play ball together and different things of that nature. And I don't know how effective you can be at doing that. But do you have any particular regimen or things you do, or how concerned are you about your health?
Well, considering my hours, driving from Corona to Bellflower, I'm up early.
Right.
Truck a lot. I just try to do a lot of walking, and my wife makes sure I eat, right. Try to drink a lot of water. Try to cut down on the carbonated, carbonation drinks, and that's pretty much it for me. I try to shoot around a little bit too, but with the COVID thing, it's kind of hard to get a pickup game.
Right. Staying active. Same thing for I'm going to go with David and then Terrence. Any specific things you're doing to stay healthy? Any specific changes in your health?
If this were last year, I'd have a nice long discussion with you because I had a trainer. I was doing all kinds of stuff. This year, it definitely slid off quite a bit.
Right.
But as far as doctors and stuff, 2015, I was diagnosed with a heart condition. So it's been kind of a weird thing for a while. And because of my experience last year with all the working out I was doing and not losing the weight that I wanted to lose, I decided to start, let me get back to I'd choose some new doctors out here and do some stuff. And one of the doctors I saw, who was a cardiologist, said, you know what? I don't agree with your original diagnosis. I think you had something, but it's not nearly as bad as what you had. That was at least encouraging and a good reason to go to a doctor. So now it's just a matter of just getting back on that same kind of a track without having a gym.
Right.
Yeah,
same thing. Anything specific you're doing for your health and staying healthy? You're pretty young and slim anyway.
I used to be.
I'm trying to be a good Christian because you and Drew right now kind of getting on my nerves though.
So I'm almost like David. About a year ago, you could have asked me and it was all well.
Right.
So I slacked off. I don't even know if I told you about this, but first week of June, I tore my Achilles.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So outside playing with TJ and tore my Achilles. So I'm gonna kind of blame my little part on that. I'm gonna blame it on the gym not being open.
Right.
I'm gonna blame it, but I do feel it's very important. At one point, I was doing pretty good, maybe like 3 times a week, just a lot of more cardio, almost like what Drew said, just kind of getting out and just moving around. It was more cardio than anything else. I'm not even gonna make it up. My eating habits are horrible at this point. I'm trying to get it back, but I'm blaming all this on COVID. I'm not gonna blame it on me, but eventually, I do know that it's very important. I plan to get on top of it.
And it is because there are, just got to stay healthy. Now, stereotypically, it said that, we don't like to go to the doctors and we don't take care of our health. Any thoughts on why that is, if you agree that that's so? And I have to say, I don't like going to the doctors. I go, but, I'm married to a nursing instructor, so you can see how that goes. But, medicine and stuff, I don't take any medicine. I'm healthy, working on my health, but we have to do better as men to eat right. And I've changed my eating, drastically, to do better in that area. So, in terms of not going to the doctor, not taking care of ourselves, that stereotype about us. If you agree that is true, why do you think that is? Because we want to help some gentlemen that, you know, are watching. I'll start with I'm gonna start with Harold and then Drew. If you agree with that, why don't we take better care of ourselves?
I think as men, we kind of stubborn sometimes. We don't want to go and follow up, you know, on appointments. But lately, I've been making all my appointments. I actually just went to the doctor a couple of weeks ago. I had my heart checked out. My doctor told me I have a strong heart. Just continue to take my meds. I actually take meds from I have high blood pressure. So I take a pill every morning for my blood pressure. But everything's pretty much intact. Blood pressure's dropped. My wife makes sure I eat a lot of veggies, man. So my wife is on top of me. So if I don't make an appointment, she's right there with the whip. So I think as men, we still follow up, go to the doctor, get checked out, man, because, you know, it's like when I seen the Chadwick Boseman thing, it messed me up too. So, yeah. I think we still follow up on our doctor appointment.
Same question, Drew. Stereotypically, as men, we don't, you know, it's said we don't like to, you know, go to the doctor, take care of our health. Any thoughts on why that is? Because we want to help men change those things.
I think it's just, you know, you're so busy in life, you start getting moving around. It almost feels like when you do have some time off, you don't want to go to the doctor on that day, you know. You don't want to spend your off day going to the doctor, and then you think about all the negative stuff. You're like, man, they're gonna take a long time to get me in. You know, I feel good, so I know it's a waste of time. I'm just gonna give them $20 copay for nothing. You know, like that type of thought. I mean, you know, at least in my mind, that's the kind of things I think about. You know, I do my physical every year. You know, I'm 37. I have had higher cholesterol, so I've been trying to work on that as far as, you know, my cholesterol. Try to eat, try to increase my fiber in my diet. And, you know, that's helped. I don't know if it's helped with my cholesterol yet because I haven't been to my physical this year, but it's definitely helped with my digestive system. I feel a little bit better. And, you know, they say people who live long have a healthy heart. So I think that's what a lot of men should focus on, is, you know, having a healthy heart. So.
I agree. We've got to work on our health, because we want to be here for our children, for our grandchildren. We want to be here to make an impact on things. And I think one of the things, I think, as Harold said, it's the fact that sometimes we can be a little stubborn, or as my son said, he wanted to be respectful, but he wanted to tell me I was stubborn, but he wanted to be respectful. And Terrence, you know what Marcus told me? He said, "You're committed to your opinion." So that sounds like him.
Sound like him.
He wanted to be respectful. I want to switch reels a little bit. I want to ask each of you, because there's some gentlemen watching, some young men watching. I want to ask each of you, and I'll start with Terrence, and then I'm going to go with David. I'm going to come around. What is the best man lesson that you've learned in your life, and who taught it, or how did you learn that lesson? The best man lesson, and each of us know what man lessons are. So, Terrence, what's the best man lesson?
Well, you already know who I got, right?
Right.
You already know who I got. So, my father, you know, he taught me a lot. I think one of the main things he taught me is having a word. I think that without your words, you don't have anything. And one thing, you know, as I got older, I kind of remember, like, as I was growing up and I started hanging out a little more, it's like he never gave me a curfew. But what he would say is, "What time are you coming back?"
Ooh,
and I'll say, "Well, I'll probably be back about 12. Are you sure? Maybe 12:30. Are you sure? Let's just go ahead and make it 1. You know, and then just. But I think what he was instilling in me is, you gotta you gotta say what you mean and mean what you say.
Right.
And trust me, I mean, I'm far from perfect, and there's times when I haven't held my end of the bargain, but that was, I mean, that's something that's very stuck, something that has stuck with me for, I mean, I'm 45 now, and it's still sticking with me. I mean, your word is your bond, as they say.
Right. Having that word. One of our viewers, we were talking about why make an impact. She said, we want to be here to make an impact. That was your mama who said that, Terrence.
Okay.
But being here, having a word. Same question, David. Best man lesson that you've learned. Who taught it, or how did you learn it?
Well, I mean, man, there's a lot. But one of the things that, you know, it's about learning by example sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And now, look, now you were at my dad's homegoing service. So
right.
you heard a bunch of stories.
Right.
But one of the things about my father is no matter what he was doing, he was always about family. You know, it didn't matter where he was, whatever. If something happened, man, he was back to deal with family. You know, he was doing extra jobs to take care of this or take care of that. And again, it wasn't perfect, but he was always out there doing what he needed to do to support his family and to take care of his family, whether it was financially or even emotionally. So even though I don't have a family, for me, that translates into how I deal with my friends, you know, that, you know, how I talk to them, how I check up on them. Hey, what's going on? You okay today? You know, all that kind of thing. So I think so for me, it translated out that way.
Okay. Family. Okay. Drew, same question. Best man lesson, most memorable man lesson, and where did it come from? How did you learn it?
My dad, he's a big talker. He probably taught me a lot of stuff. But one thing I learned just by thinking back over my life and just looking back at stuff, and even now, is how much of it wasn't anything he specifically said, but just how much he was a cheerleader for his kids, and how much he loves bragging on us. You know, like if I have my son in here, my son would tell you, man, Papa always telling me that story about you playing baseball or doing this, or Uncle Mike doing this or that. So my dad is a really a big cheerleader for his kids. So I think that's one of a big lesson that I learned from him, and I want to do, you know, the same for my kids. Be their biggest cheerleader.
That's important. That's very important. Being a big cheerleader for your children. Harold, best man lesson.
Well, my dad, he really wasn't around for me a lot. Okay. I was kind of raised by my grandmother.
Okay.
And my mom, I was taught to work hard, man. Always had a job. Just try to, you know, do the positive, do the right things. But you know, sometimes it don't always work out that way. You know, growing up in LA, you know, it wasn't always, you know, peace and cream, but my mom, man, she always taught me, you know, a man's supposed to work, get up in the morning, you know, do what you got to do. You know, you go grind, do your 9 to 5. And I mean, and having girls now, man, and my boys, I try to instill that in them as well. Especially my daughters, man. I just love my girls. Because, you know, having daughters, you don't want them to grow up and, you know, we all know how it goes. You know, you got guys out there to say the sweetest things, but don't really mean them, you know.
Right. You mean men lie?
Yeah, I learned it. I'm just, you know, being real, man. But I was taught, yeah, not all of it, but yeah, man, I was just taught to work hard, you know, be productive. Right. You know, don't be a statistic, you know, be a positive statistic. Don't be a negative one.
Right. And those are all good practical man lessons. You know, my biggest man lesson was work and integrity, you know, integrity. And that obviously came from the man I consider the greatest man I've ever known, my daddy. Integrity, work, all that wrapped up in one word: responsibility. And a lot of times we don't see that now in guys. Is it because of the climate? Is it because don't take advantage of it? Is it because, what do you think? Or we do have that, it's just not being told. What do you think? Anybody that wants to jump in on that one?
I think it's a combination of things. I think one, like you said, it's not being told, but in some cases it's not being taught.
Okay.
And it's kind of a sad thing, but just from little things I've seen, I think we're really changing a lot as far as a society.
Right.
And then sometimes, we joke about, friends and I joke about how just, not just social media, but just even how the proliferation of cable channels has changed. We're all not getting the same information anymore. We're all not, carrying the same values. We speak in 240 characters, so we're not having real conversations anymore.
Right.
And it's just changing how we do things.
Anyone else want to jump in before I go somewhere else with that? Go ahead.
And we won't even talk about God in that whole thing.
Oh, no, we won't.
We won't go there.
It won't. And so to change that, or to, standards, I think a lot of times now we don't have standards, some guys don't have standards, but to change that, or to keep the good standards going. Now, there's some things, the newer generation, they've got some things going on that, we need to listen to, but some things don't change. Principles don't change,
Right.
And so work, each of you said, work hard, your word, have integrity, all of those things. We need to be good examples, so that some other guys can see that. The guys at church that don't have a father around, or don't have an uncle around, or the young guys at your job. I've been around guys in different places, and sometimes sometimes you just don't know. And sometimes we look down on people because they don't have a work ethic. But if you don't know, you don't know. Nobody ever told you.
You can't do what you don't know.
Exactly. You can't do what you don't know. And Drew, I want to ask you, when you came into the league, were there guys that were vets that kind of said certain things to you, or maybe in terms of playing, or in terms of making it on the team, or having a better understanding of how the league works, or how did you find out that type of stuff?
Well, I played in the minor leagues throughout my career. When we were coming up, it was, you kind of look at the guys in front of you. A lot of guys, it's only a handful of like really good leaders. A lot of people, we used to have this thing. Are you an adder? Are you a subtractor? Are you neutral? Right?
Wow.
And what that meant was like, did you add to the team? Basically, like, were you a positive influence to the team? Or were you a negative influence to the team? And then, or are you just neutral? So obviously, like a normal distribution bell curve, most people fit in the middle. They just neutral. Right. They didn't affect the team either way, positive or negatively. And you had those few people sprinkled in that was really negative, and those were the guys that really, those guys stuck out, and then the really good leaders stick out as well. Right. And so it's always that battle of, trying to get rid of. You see every team now that goes through it. People are trying to get rid of those bad, those subtractors, So, and I think a lot of times that's the same thing in just normal life. You see people who make bad decisions a lot of times because they have a lot of negativity around them. They have a lot of subtractors in their life, and when they need more adders in their life, and I think that's one of the real things that needs to change in our society. a lot of, I was thinking about this, sorry going long, but I was thinking about this recently I was listening to somebody talk on sports talk radio, and he was saying that, like, oh, I came from Compton and I made it. And so anybody can do it. And I was just thinking about, and I used to kind of have that attitude too, but then I started thinking about how that's kind of elitist attitude, because most people, like, I look at it like as we're like a positive statistic of that happening, because most people can't survive in those type of conditions, that limited resources, and a lot of it because you don't have that male figure in the house. So how can we really expect them to get out of this situation when they don't have the same resources and they're not given the same lessons that we taught when we had our dads in our life, or some positive male influence in our life,
Right. Let me ask you, I want to ask, and I want to go to a more unpopular subject before I do this, but someone on the comment section said it's not taught love and respect, and you just mentioned about the subtractors. Whose responsibility is it? Sometimes we say the younger generation don't have this, they don't have no respect, they don't have. Whose responsibility is it to show them what a man is? If what men do, pull them by the side. I'm gonna start with Terrence. Whose responsibility is it to do that?
It's a great question. I was very, very fortunate that I didn't have to go searching. I could just go in the kitchen. I could just go in the living room, and I had a very, very strong, positive role model. So my situation was a little different. But I think that in some cases, I honestly, you would think that maybe like the church would be a good place. You would think that there's like mentorship programs that somebody could hopefully get attached to. You would think that there's, something going on in the neighborhood where somebody could kind of, see a young brother who needs some direction and who could grab him up and kind of assist. I think that also piggyback on some of the stuff we see on like social media and TV today. I mean, like back in the day, there were like family shows like The Fresh Prince or Good Times or something, and it had a strong male role model.
Right.
Some of the stuff that's on TV now, man, you gotta, I gotta come in here sometime. I gotta just grab it and like cut the TV off. I mean, because there's things going on regular TV. Back in the day, this type of stuff was on cable.
Right.
I'm talking about like now. This is 7 o'clock, and there's some crazy things happening on TV. So I would think that somebody, hopefully, like I think the ideal place is somebody is to find a church to go to, and then maybe find a good role model in that setting.
Okay. Whose responsibility is it to do all this? I'm going to ask Harold. I think it's frozen. The responsibility to, show the young cats or guys.
I hear you.
Yeah, Harold, you.
I feel like it's on us too. I mean, because like I said, I didn't really have a father figure. My mom, she played both roles, being a single mom, raising 2 boys, and I don't know, man. Sometimes you have to find your own way or your own direction. But my mom was very hard on us, so especially me being the oldest. So I picked up real quick. Had a job, tried to stay out the streets as much as I could. Just work hard. But I find myself gravitating to young men a lot. When I cross paths with them, always trying to encourage them and give them encouraging words and just tell them, man, do right, stay in school, man. These streets don't have nothing to offer you. Listen to your parents, respect your parents, especially, man. Especially if you have both mother and father in the home, respect your parents, man, and do right, man. Because, with all this stuff going on today, kids getting kidnapped, sex trafficking, and so forth, man, it's it's tough out here, man, for some young men. But you know, some young men, they want to be yanked by the coattail. Then you have some that just, you know, they so far gone. It's hard to reach them.
And that's true. And I like what you said, that it's a responsibility. And I'm believing to some degree, it's all of our responsibility, you know, brothers, if you know, because you can't talk to everybody, but if it's some kid down the street that you see, you know, you can say something too. You can say that. And I believe Drew said about being a cheerleader. So, you know, we got enough people telling brothers, you ain't no good. You're just like your daddy. You're going to jail. Why not tell some young brother that's, you know, he's washing the cars? Man, that's a good job. How much you charge to wash my car? You know, something of that nature, some encouraging word, because everybody can say an encouraging word. Everybody can say good job. Every guy can say, you know, you're doing a great job, or check this out, or here's some information about school, or whatever the case may be. So we all have a responsibility to do that. I'm going to come back with a real serious question. We're going to be talking about emasculating and eliminating us men, black men. And we'll be talking about the civil unrest and different things of that nature. Take this commercial break and we'll be right back. Want to ask anyone watching, if you have a book, a business, a product, a service that you want the world to know about, consider coming on the show. You want to talk about it on the show, you can be our guest to talk about it. If you have, as I said, a book, a business, a product, if you're a singer, you've got a new project, you can come on and talk about it. Contact us at drshig@gmail.com, drshig@gmail.com. We are setting our schedules for the next 2 months. And so we have people that watch our show everywhere from Inglewood to England and Italy, from Fontana to France, from Gardena to Ghana. And so you can let people know about your product. And we are grateful for our sponsors like this one. Bases Loaded Authentic Clothing and Caps, better known as Black, offers a full collection of licensed apparel for Negro League Baseball, Buffalo Soldiers, and Tuskegee Airmen. From caps and tees to jackets and jerseys, Black is a one-stop shop, a Black-owned business focused on Black history and supporting Black museums and organizations. Visit them at www.negroleague1920.com, www.negroleague1920.com, or give them a call at 856-599-8411. That number again, 856-599-8411. Always shop Black, and tell them you heard about it on The Encouragement Show. We're also brought to you in part by my latest book. It's called Encouragement from a Formerly Frustrated Dreamer, filled with motivating messages and encouraging words to help you. If you've ever been frustrated about a project, frustrated about life, I talk about it here, giving you some words that can encourage you, strengthen you, and help you. You can get your copy on Amazon.com. You can just go to the browser and put in my last name, Shig. You won't get lost, because when you go to Amazon and put the name in Shig, there's only going to be 4 people there. Me, my brother, my cousin, and another cousin. So you won't get lost. So, Encouragements from a Formerly Frustrated Dreamer. Get your copy today. All right, gentlemen, I want to ask you this question. It seems that in society, we seem to be, society seems to try to either emasculate us or eliminate us. And I'm not talking about necessarily eliminate us from, you know, like killing us, that too, but eliminating us from the image. You know, a lot of commercials you see, when you see a family, a Caucasian family, you see mother, father, 2 sons, and a dog. When you see commercials with Black people, oftentimes you just see a mother and 2 kids or something of that nature. And I think to some degree it's subliminal to kind of show that fellas are not around. I was watching a commercial today and they were doing the same thing. So my question to you is, 1, if you agree with me, and you know, some people say, well, you're just paranoid, but if you agree with me, why do you think that is, that they just want to take us out the picture? And what can we do about it? I'm gonna start with David. If you agree with me. If you disagree with me, tell me why I'm wrong.
I'm really going back and forth on that in my head, because you're talking about in media and movies, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Well, first of all, a lot of those things aren't written by Black people. Okay. So because they're not written by Black people, they are written in a stereotypical view because that's what they know, or that's what they believe to be the case. Which is why I appreciate when there are other shows that are, for instance, whether you watch Blackish or not, it was created by a Black person, and there is a strong family unit there.
Right.
So you get the exact opposite of what you might see from something else. You also, in that show, you also don't see a lot of the other stereotypes you might expect to see.
Right.
You don't necessarily see the gangsters. You don't necessarily see people who haven't gone to school. In fact, education is pressed on that show. So I think it happens because the people in the room writing those things don't know any better or don't want to know any better.
So you don't think it's an intentional thing? They just they just don't know, or because my brain says to some degree it's intentional. Now it could just be conspiracy or paranoia on my part, but
well, what did we say earlier? You can't go where you don't know. You can't write what you don't know either. So if there is an assumption that everyone grew up this way,
okay.
I went to a predominantly white high school, and I think sometimes people were surprised when they found out that my parents had been married my entire life.
Right.
There were many people there that were on third and fourth marriages. So it's all about perception. And look, I'm not saying you're not wrong, that you're wrong. I'm just saying that there may be some other issues behind that.
Okay. You're just nicer than I am. That's all.
Trust me, on this subject, I can go either way.
Right. Same thing. I want to ask each of you, because I want to get some input from each of you. Do you think that, that's intentional? Do you think, as I said, my original question is, the perception is that the images are put out in such a way to eliminate us from the picture. Do you think that is the case? Drew, I hear you trying to say something. Go ahead.
I kind of agree with David on it a little bit. I mean, I think it starts with a lack of diversity in most companies. My wife always talks about how these companies, you see like some of these statements they release and some like these products they release are like shows that come on, you're like, and then they're head scratchers when people have a negative view of it. It's all because it's like, man, they just need that one Black person at a high position to tell them, like, you know what, this is not going to go well.
Right.
Like, it's almost like, I know a lot of you, especially, I don't know if you guys got into it, but when all the social injustice started going on, and then it was kind of a thing for us to like go and like start reading like the press releases of these big companies, and then you go and just start seeing that didn't come off well, or that seems fake, or I think a lot of it is just a lack of diversity at the top of companies, and we all know that it's not a lot of Black people in executive positions in a lot of companies. But also, I have noticed what I wanted to say before I done, but I do notice, Dr. Shig, that when they do put a Black family, it's usually an interracial Black family. So it's interracial family. I don't want to say Black family.
Right.
When they do put a family figure together, it's usually interracial family on TV or on the commercials. So I don't know if they're trying to be too diverse with what they're doing, or
diverse.
they just skipped over like putting the whole black family. They just say, you know what, we're just gonna go to diversity. You know,
we got part of it is black, and then the other part, you know, exactly. Harold and Terrence, same thing. You think that it's, you know, intentional, or just, you know, not a lot of people at the top that's you know, in there to write it? Because I want to get to some solutions also. So you agree with my theory that it's done that way on purpose, or like I said, I'm just paranoid? Go ahead.
So,
go ahead.
Sorry. So there's a show that come on. This kind of piggyback off of what David was saying. There's a show that come on Netflix, and it's called Black AF. Now I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
And there's one particular episode where Kenya Barris, he's the owner, I mean the writer of the show, but he goes and talks to Tyler Perry. So they're talking about, like, Tyler Perry is talking about how he started making these movies, and how the movies he was making,
right,
big companies didn't want to give him money to make these movies because they were predominantly positive black male role models, structured family type of movies. So what he did is he started doing his own thing, right? And what he said was, and something that really stuck with me, he says that he don't understand people want to boycott the Oscars and people want to boycott all these other award shows. Why should we care what they think? We need to focus on us. We need to focus on creating this this picture of a strong black family, having a strong black role model in the house. And like, it goes back to what I was saying a while ago. Man, these TV shows are nuts, man. And like I said, when you Good Times, that show might not have made it now, right? Because it's you know, it's a guy. He's working hard. He's coming home to his family every night. He doesn't have a lot of outside things going on. He's working. He's coming home. He's taking care of his family. That's what we need to see. But the shows that we're watching now, the stuff that we're seeing on social media now is the opposite. And I think people gravitate toward that for some reason. I don't know. I don't know why. But people gravitate, and I don't know if they gravitated because they seem like it's a luxurious style of living, but the shows that really have positive black role models or positive black family structure, you don't really see. They don't really market that as much as they do others type of family structure shows.
Okay. I want you to respond, Harold, but real quick, one side note about, you mentioned Good Times. Originally, when that show was originally put out, they wanted her to be a single mother. James wasn't supposed to be in the show. And she said, I'm not doing it unless there's a husband in the house. That's the only reason he was on there, because she wasn't going to do the show.
But see, I think that's the difference between now. I think people now would have said, okay, let's just do the show and I'm going to make the money. But you got to have some, like you say, it goes back to what somebody else was saying. It goes back to your morals. It goes back to integrity.
Right. So Harold, what are your thoughts on the implications of it? I'm just paranoid.
First of all, you're not paranoid.
Okay.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like you see in movies and everything, man, they want to. Men are not thugs. We all not criminals. We are hardworking people. We all want that good family structure. You know, we want that house with the white picket fence. I mean, I want to applaud Bill Cosby from the Cosby Show, but we all know we don't grow up in a household where the father's a doctor, the mom's a lawyer, and all the kids get straight A's. You know, but that's what we push for our children to do well, and we push for ourselves as black men to do well and be that role model for our children. Right. You know, we fall short. I'm far perfect, but I tend to talk to our children and let them know, hey, you know, and me being a black man, I'm married to a Mexican woman, so you know, I get the looks, I get the little whispers, but that don't faze me, man. I keep on trucking, man. And, you know, my wife, I thank God for my wife for being in me for 24 years. I wasn't perfect. She's in myself.
Breaking up.
So
yeah,
I just believe, man, we got to keep striving for better. I mean, we've been fighting this long. We can stop now.
Right, and I think one of the things because I'm all about solutions to assist in that.
I can go on and on about the cop thing, but I'm gonna leave
I didn't know you were finished because your mic is going.
Yeah, for like the Brady Bunch, and it's just not. But
right. Well, let me throw this in here.
Do your homework, stuff
right.
like that, and that's something I'm dealing with myself.
What I think is important is that we put out the images to the best of our ability, and as I told you before we went on the air, that's one of the reasons why I'm always, now my father's gone, he's been gone for about 10 years, but whenever I talk publicly, I'm always talking about my daddy. And I know that may sound, I'm 61 years old and I still say my daddy. I said my daddy when he was here. When I talk about him, I still say my daddy. So, I'm 61. If it sounds childish to you, that's your problem because he's my daddy. Anyway, but I talk about him. I lift him up. I talk about those things. So I think we can put out the images and put out good information, about positive Black men. If it's our father, if it's our uncle, somebody we know that did something, somebody we know that made a great achievement, so we can do that. I want to take a shift in our last 10, 15 minutes. Obviously, we've got to talk about the things that are going on with, the civil unrest, all that's going on with, with the racism and the police issues and stuff like that. And taking a stand, looking at one of the things that the NBA players did, taking that stand. And I know we have to take a stand personally in terms of combating it. So I'm gonna go around. I want to end up with Drew because of his connection, in the professional sports world. But what are some practical ways that you have taken a stand, or ways that we can take a stand against, the civil unrest, against what the racism, against what's going on? Some productive or positive ways that you have, or you've known somebody to take a stand. Start with Harold, then Terrence, and then David. You're having a difficult time, huh? I can't hear you. Your mic is turned off. Terrence, go while he's unmuting his mic. Terrence, go.
Okay. One thing is I have starting to be a little more conscious with the way I spend my money. You have the money, you have the power. Trying to, and it's difficult. It's difficult, but it's what I'm trying to do, is trying to make sure I support people as much as I can who look like me.
Okay.
I figured that I think it all it's all in the dollar, right? We don't, and it goes back to this about a few months ago. There was a story out about some of these high-level basketball players that's in the high school ranks thinking about joining, like going to a black college, right? So now if you get a big-time recruit, instead of him going to UCLA or Kentucky to play ball, just imagine if he went to Howard, because then the money follows, right? So now you get that. So now you get that TV deal where you could go on ESPN, or you could go on these other stations, and now that's where the money goes. So you have to set yourself up, and then you got to support. I think you support people that look like us, like, and I know you're a big time entrepreneur, and I know you probably deal with people. People can't have their hand out. They can't be looking for stuff for free. Well, hey, Dr. Shig, let me get that book for free just so I could get it. I mean, you wouldn't go in Barnes and Nobles and ask for anything free. So why should they feel like you any different, right? But I think it goes back to, like, you have the money, you're in control. And I think if we start spending our money with people who look like us, we could go farther than where we are now.
If anybody knows my Uncle Scuffy, you know he sounds just like his daddy. Harold, what can we do from in a practical perspective? Terrence talked about, you know, some practical things. So what has been your response, and what do you think are some responses we can do to combat this?
Social thing, the piggyback, yeah, spend your money, you know, but, you know, people that's, you know,
right.
I mean, sometimes it's kind of hard depending on what area you live in also.
True.
You know, living in Corona, it's not too many black businesses. It's a few, you know, but you have a donut, like black people that own a donut shop out here. You know, we try to support that. But when they try to open businesses out here, it just doesn't work here because it's not a lot of us out here. But my wife, we do try to support, you know, as Terrence was saying, you know, support black businesses. But it's tough, man. But we just got to come together, man, and do better as a people. You know, I mean, we all living in this world together, man. Let's just come together, man, and stop this nonsense, man.
I agree.
It's just getting ridiculous.
I agree. And so one response is from an economic. One response, as you said, and Terrence says, from an economic perspective. You know, if you look back on the Montgomery bus boycott, those people changed their mind, not because they wanted us sitting on the bus, but because it was hitting them in the pockets. So that's one response, a practical response. What responses have you had, David, or what responses do you think are productive from a practical perspective to all this?
Well, for me, I kind of ended up going a slightly different end with it. You know, I said earlier I went to a predominantly white high school, and you know, and it's a really tight high school. I mean, we're really close still. I started getting a lot of questions asked, you know, of me, you know, about a lot of different things. And so what I really did was I really opened myself up to answering a lot of questions, you know, no matter what they were, and saying no to this, yes to that, and, you know, a bunch of little things. Hey, look up this, go watch this, go blah, blah, blah. You know, because it would be very easy to say, hey, you should have asked me this 10 years ago or 20 years ago or whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is somebody's asking. So it just seemed more beneficial to me to say, okay, let's talk about this. You know, have you ever considered this? Did you ever think this? And, you know, a whole bunch of other things. And it's funny because some people are just now saying, wow, I never realized what it must have been like for you at school, you know, you know, a whole bunch of little things like that, you know. So for me, that's been my way.
Okay, and that's cool too, because there's no just one answer. And so economics, but dialogue, communication, that's good. Dialogue, you know, talking to. And so Drew, practical responses to all of this, and you can put your answer in, but also being, you know, having played professional sports, the response that the NBA, the players took, how effective do you think that's really going to be in a practical way? And then you can couch your answer to the original question in that also, practical responses to all this that's going on. Your mic.
In a response to the NBA thing first, in a response to the NBA part first, I think it went in the way that they wanted it to go. They already got a response. Every team's opened up their arenas to voting. So that's a huge help. I think that they started a coalition to help people register to vote, and they've helped. And the coalition, I think, also is supposed to target racial injustice. But just like Terrence and Harold was talking about the financial aspect of it, I think that's a huge thing. It's kind of like, I want to say this, that over like last week when the RNC was going on, you see a lot of people, Trump likes to run out, any black person that kind of agrees with him, or any black person that's in the conservative party, he likes to run those people out to try to show that he's not racist, right? And so I was telling some people that, look, it's all fine. It's all based on financial status, class, and your status in the society. He's not going to be racist to a politician, a black politician. He's not going to be racist to a black athlete, right? He's going to be racist to Kanye West and Diddy and who else? Steve Harvey took a picture with all these people, right? He's not going to be racist to them. You know why? Because they all have money. Okay. They all have money, and he needs them to spend money with them. These people rap about in the past about Trump hotels and stuff like that. So he's not going to be racist to them. Wow. The key is, how does he treat black people who don't have status and money? Over his history of his life, he's always treated those people without money, black and brown people, awful. He's always been racist to them. Go back and look at all his whole history of his life. With the Central Park Five, the tenant thing that he lost the lawsuit on, keeping blacks out of his properties, and on and on and on. Just how he talks about, he won't, even now, he won't go out and go against his base that's supporting this kid that killed the people in Kenosha, right? Because they did that, because he did that to to people who were in lower class, Okay. And I think a lot of this is an educational part where we have to get people to realize that he does stuff racist to black people that don't have money, but the white people who don't have money either, he's not doing anything for you either, because he wants to take away all the things he wants to take away. They depend on that too. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, right? Welfare. They want to defund that stuff. We talk about defunding the police. They want to take that money out, and they're still voting for a person. Basically, they're voting against themselves. This deep-seated racism that they have, that they have, and so I really think it comes down to an educational part of why I want to pose this question: why are white people, the white community, some of the white community, right? Why are they so beholden to uphold their ancestors' sins?
It's interesting.
Like, how they fight to keep the statues up and stuff. Like, why are you beholden to that stuff?
Right.
What does that do for you to keep that stuff up, and it's wrong? So
one of the things that happens is sometimes you have to admit that I've been wrong for 200 years, and I don't want to do that, or different things of that nature. So in terms of the racism, the civil, the difficulties that we're having, so you seem to be siding with Terrence and Harold that one of the more effective ways is to hit the economy, hit them economically. And that works. And, what David said makes sense also in terms of dialogue. And that's why I'm saying there's no one answer. We need to have dialogue. We need to, hit them in economic, because the way you hurt somebody with power is to take away their power. The way you hurt somebody with money is to take away their money. Somebody with position, you take away their position. And so all of those things can be our answers, because, we're not LeBron, we're not Kenny Smith. We can't walk away off the set of our job and be able to come back the next day. And I'm not knocking that. I'm saying he made a point. He can do that, but You guys can't go in and say, well, I'm supporting Black Lives Matter and I'm going to walk off from my job today and come back tomorrow. But there are some things that we as regular day-to-day people can do. And that's one of the things I wanted to emphasize. And you talked about, okay, economically doing what we can do. Dialogue is important too. So we need to do all of those things from a practical purpose to make this change, as the lyric from Michael Jackson's song says, make the change. There is something we can do to help this, to end this, to diffuse this, focus on the economics. What is it that you can do? Where's your influence? And the thing that all of us need to do is to vote. November 3rd is coming up. And I want to say this, not just focusing on the presidential election. Some places they're having elections for your district attorney. If you don't like the fact that somebody didn't bring some charges against, vote them out. The council person or whatever the case may be. And some people say, well, voting doesn't make a difference. It's not important. I want to pose this thought. If voting wasn't important, why do they keep trying to stop us from doing it? If it wasn't important, why do they keep trying to suppress it? Okay. So everybody can do something by voting. Everybody can do something by having dialogue. Everybody can do something by, spending your money in the right places. And so, gentlemen, I want to say thank you for being with me tonight. I believe that the things that were said tonight are going to help some young man that, maybe his father's not in the house. Help some young man who is a married young man, but he hasn't been a cheerleader for his family. Family wasn't important. I like that. And being the example. So we talked about a smorgasbord of things before we, but I believe all of them were things that were beneficial, that were helpful. Before we close out, anybody have any last words? You start with Terrence, David, Harold, and then Drew. If you have any, if not, that's fine too.
I just want to say thank you for allowing me to come on. I really enjoy these type of things. I mean, I hate to keep saying my father told me this, but
your father
did something to us. Yeah. I always think that it's very important that we understand that you should never want to be the smartest person in the room.
Okay.
And I think having these type of platforms. I mean, I watch a lot of this. I may not type a comment or everything, but pretty much every Thursday, I'm on it, and I think you're doing an awesome job. I mean, I greatly appreciate it. We talk about everything from A to Z.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it's focused on religion and church. Sometimes it's focused on, social issues. And I think that this is just an awesome platform.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Again, I thank you as well for even asking me to be on it. I'm looking at the clock going, I think we could probably go for another hour if we really want to, because I'm sure there's a bunch of other topics we could talk about. But, for me, it's always going to come back to family, but of course, God first. And, just if you, whatever's going on with the world or whatever, if God is at your center, it'll make life so much easier to handle.
Exactly. Harold, and then Drew. Any closing remarks? If you have some, fine. If not, fine.
Yes, sir. I just want to thank you for having me and asking me. I was kind of shocked when you asked me, though. I don't know why, but
shouldn't have
I know
been.
it's for a good reason. And I don't know, man. I don't get approached for things like this, but I do greatly appreciate it, and being able to come on here and talk to the guys and other men and about topics that's really affecting our America. And I just want to say to David too, real quick. I grew up in Cerritos a little bit in the suburbs. And it was a culture shock for me too, because I didn't see many of my people when I got there. Coming from Carson, it's predominantly black. So when I got to Cerritos, I was like, okay. But we started coming in there slowly but surely. But man, I appreciate being here, man, and I'll be happy to do it again if you ask me. And I just want to say again,
good input. I knew it was coming in somewhere. I knew it was coming in some kind of way. Drew. I see her.
My little daughter trying to get in.
Any closing comments?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm always talking about sports, but I'm always giving my wife an earful about, non-sports stuff. So it's good to be able to come on and kind of, talk about different, life stuff, because it's bigger than, life is much bigger than, sports. And the last thing I want to talk about is feedback on your voting thing. If anybody's listening, just to remember that, the fight that our ancestors put in to get these, for our ability to vote, and that voting is more important than just the president. It's actually, the importance of getting him out of there is a lot to do with with our Supreme Justice. That's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She ain't gonna be in there forever. And so we need to get him out because of that too.
Right.
And also, vote, getting a Congress in there that's gonna do things that are important for our communities, and also your local officials too, to push these issues that you have, on them. And just also talk about, the economic, how we need to be more economically wise in our purchasing decisions, like Terrence and Harold was saying. And it all comes down to economics for our community to get better. We need better schools. We need better, just overall better resources, better healthcare, all that, So just thank you again for letting me come on. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. We've heard some great words from these gentlemen, different areas, different background, and I trust, gentlemen, that are watching, that something was said that pushed you, that encouraged you, that helped you in your integrity, helped you to cheer your family, helped you to do some practical things to help our communities to be better, and voting and making a difference doing those things. And so we want to make sure you do vote. If you're not registered, go register. If you don't think that you're eligible, maybe you were a felon or whatever, you can find some information, Google it, ask somebody. You can find the information and be ready. Vote early. There's some tricks coming down that try to keep you from voting, but we can stop those things. So make sure you do vote. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I want to encourage you, if you want to follow me on social media, you can see this show and some of my motivational videos on my Facebook page, Your Encouragement, this one here, and also my name, but also on Instagram. You can go to EncourageMan, the letter N, Courage Man. You can go to YouTube, Dwayne Shig, Encouragement, the Encouragement Show with Dwayne Shig. Want to encourage you once again, if you haven't got a copy of my latest book, it's Encouragements from a Formerly Frustrated Dreamer, motivating messages, one section of nothing but original encouragement quotes. To get your copy at Amazon.com, and you can follow us and see some of our videos, motivational videos, and some of our other shows. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Glad that you were here. I want you to hang on as soon as we close out. Don't leave. We had a great time, and want you the viewers, take advantage of some of the things that were said and were helpful. I want to read from one of our viewers. Says, thanks for sharing your thoughts, guys. Very good topics for our culture. We must get out and vote. We can make a difference. Ditto, Tracy O. So everyone, thank you so much for watching the Encouragement Show. Continue to be with us every Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you have a book, a business, product, service that you want to talk about, come on the show and talk about it. Contact us at drshig@gmail.com, drshig@gmail.com. Thank you so much. This has been the Encouragement Show. I'm Dwayne Shig, and as always, want you to remember that your dream, go get it. You stay encouraged. Be blessed. Hold on, gentlemen.